John here, and again, wanted to throw in this little intro. For this one, this is me and Matt Thomas, aka studioredband, and for this one, we talk about different treatments with the Rambo sequels, and there's a lot of them for Rambo 4 that we get into here, so really interesting stuff. But again, just sort of throwing this in here. But I hope you enjoy, and have a good day.
Rambo III by David Morrell.
Yeah, now we're talking about Rambo 3 by David Morrell. Now, I know you were talking about this before we talked about Lethal Weapon. So what's the word on this one?
I think he wrote a version of it, and then didn't get made. And he was just under a lot of duress during this time. And it's weird because it's one version of the film that got made based off the Sly script. He wrote a different version also. I'm not sure if it's this one. If it's not, it is this one. But I'll jump in on that later. But he was just under a lot. He was just in a really bad time. It was just a really bad time. It's just weird because it's like I always kind of feel like they fucked David over so many times.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to say that in a derogatory way. I'm just saying, it was his baby, and even though it was, 10 years, and it was taught in school and all that before it became a movie. I don't know. I just always felt like they didn't really, give David his due.
Yeah.
Imagine if there was like a Rambo, like David Morrell Rambo IV or Rambo V. It's and he was so cool about it too, going into these films, playing off of other dimensions, playing off of paradoxes, playing off of all these different little things. You wouldn't get that. You know what I mean? You wouldn't get that today from someone. They would be, very much like, no, this is mine.
Yeah.
David actually played ball with them, and actually went, did everything he was, he didn't have to do all that, right? But, I don't know, I just feel like he got the short end of the stick somehow. Anyway.
But this is a different treatment of Rambo 3.
Yeah. So it says here, during the story and screenplay development on Rambo 3, many different scripts were written. According to David Morrell, he was working on his novelization of the film. Every week he would receive a new script, which was completely different than the last. And he also wrote a version which wasn't used in the script. Rambo has returned to the United States after the events of the second film, and is working on tall buildings, which are under construction since, thanks to his Indian background, he has no problem with heights. Fun fact, for a long time, someone had a fear of heights. This is pretty cool, too, because, they were using that, that old myth of Native Americans not getting altitude sickness, working on, iron frame high-rises. And, also, I found out a lot of these really cool things that play into the Rambo mythos, too, like his hair.
Yeah.
They were saying that, Native Americans had special hair or something. There's this whole theory out there that Native Americans contract better with their hair. Something about the hair being kind of an antennae, or being more in tune to that. Very interesting, because they play a lot of that stuff off with Rambo. So while Trautman is working as a military advisor in South America, helping a rebel group in their fight against some dictator and his army, he is captured, and same people who captured him also take over the embassy. Once he hears about this, Rambo and Trautman's wife, a tough military woman and expert with weapons, go over there to save him.
Sounds interesting.
Sorry.
I know, it sounds interesting. Like, I picture, like, Rambo and Troutman's wife, and I'm like, who would play the wife?
When I was talking to David Morrell, he mentioned Sigourney Weaver. That Trautman had taught her how to use, what do you call that? like different types of weapons, and she knew how to fight.
Yeah, she would have been. I would have been cool to see that. I mean, Rambo and Ripley.
Yeah, and I think also Trautman's daughter was in the fray too, and she got taken captive or something. And I remember from reading David's manifest that there was a lot of these cavern chases, like underground cavern chases, and he was talking about just imagining how Rambo and Sigourney are running away from explosions in the background, and
So how do you think, when you look at it, which sounds like there's more out there, or I know you're talking to Morrell and such, but how do you think this would have turned out? I mean,
I would have loved this because they just could have kept it rolling, right? They just could have kept on doing Rambo after Rambo after Rambo. So I would have loved it. Talking to David, I'm trying to remember what I was going to say. Fuck. I was going to go somewhere with that. But
I know you mentioned Trautman's daughter that was captured.
Yeah, Trautman's daughter was captured, and it was Trautman was like mortally wounded.
There was caves. There was caverns.
Yeah, there's cavern chases and waterfalls and all that kind of stuff underground. I just think it would have been really, really cool to see. I don't even think he knew that they changed it until like he saw it on TV.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But he was really cool talking about that. Yeah, I asked him if he had any of that script, if he would let me read it. And he said that unfortunately they didn't let them at the time keep those scripts. So I guess it's out there in the collector verse somewhere. But that was before the Rambo reissue started coming out. So he informed me that the Rambo 3 would have a lot of that stuff. And when it did come out, it actually did. It had a whole chapter based on this in there.
So what do you think, like, how's it, with Rambo going back to the States after the events of the second film and working on this high rise and now has to go to South America. Do you like that premise? I mean,
I like it.
With Rambo's wife. I mean, not Rambo's, but Troutman's wife.
I like it. Because, like, growing up, I would have been like, just give me every Rambo movie you want.
every
all of them. I don't care.
Everything in between.
I would watch 10 of these. Like, if there was one every year, I would have watched it.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
You would watch Over the Top, like, nope, that's Rambo. He's just a trucker for this one.
Yeah.
He's a truck driver and an arm wrestler.
It's weird because at that time, like, Rambo was so big. Like, it was so big of a film, especially when the second one came out, that I would have thought, I thought, they could have made another 3 easily.
Which they did. Or, yeah, technically. Yeah, Rambo 3, 4, and...
Yeah. I remember seeing Rambo 3 for the first time, and I thought Rambo was dead at the end. When the tank hit the hell, I was like, oh, he's gone. It's over. For 30 seconds of my life, I was totally in suspension of disbelief.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm glad they didn't kill him.
Same here. But now, since we were on the sequel note with Rambo, now we're on to Rambo IV, The Black Forest.
Yeah, 1987 to 1992. This one's cool, too, because I remember seeing this on Phil Donahue, which Jack goes into here. He went on for Rocky V with Sage, and he got really heated. So
what happened?
He kind of, I don't know, it was kind of like that one-shot slide where you see him kind of going against conspiracy theory. I don't even want to say that. I want to say that it was kind of like Rambo going against the man from, like, the first one. How, like, in that whole scene where he takes down the town, and he's going after all those established things, like the gas and the electric and this and that, right? Everything that everybody takes advantage of over here that all his friends had to die for over there. So it was, I don't know, it was weird because it's kind of like where you can kind of see that force of freedom, PG-13 kind of thing come in at the same time. So it makes me wonder, like, if they would have did this, how they would have done it. Like, they would have definitely had to get a more ballsy director, like your Paul Verhoeven or something like that, who's not afraid to show blood because it's a Greenpeace movie,
Maybe a Craig R. Baxley or something.
Yeah.
Which, and again, this is more information which I haven't seen before, so it's going to be interesting. And so this is a treatment for the fourth Rambo film that was gonna, or between 87 and 92.
Yeah. And it was cool, like, to see Sly get that jumped up about it. Like, I don't feel, people should die because Exxon's feeling a pinch. Like, wow, it's wow. And even Phil Donahue was trying to nail him on stuff like, all this macho and the violence and the killing, and I think Sly handled it really well. I think he was, I don't think a lot of other actors could have handled it that well. Anyway, so Rambo IV the Black Forest, 1987, 1992. Crawco and Stallone were already working on development of a fourth Rambo film, while the third one was still in production in 1987. In 1990, interview with Phil Donahue, Stallone talked about planning to make a fourth Rambo film in which he would work with Greenpeace fighting nature criminals. I heard rumors about this version before, but not that much really. Apparently the story would have involved either an oil spill or it would maybe take place in an oil rig platform. So according to what was mentioned in issues of Movie Magazine Impact from those years, this version of Rambo 4 was subtitled The Black Forest. I never knew it was The Black Forest. I was just always calling it Enviro because it was like an environmental movie. So the interesting thing is there were a couple of unproduced Die Hard ripoffs from the mid-90s which took place on similar location. Kurt Webner's Platform from 1993 or 1994 about a team of evil Navy SEALs who take over a platform while looking for deadly virus hidden in some sunken ship. And one more titled The Rig from 1996. We talked about those a couple of years ago, remember?
Yeah.
Those are pretty good. So one of the early reject scripts from Universal Soldier, one which Andrew Davies was going to direct before Crawco fired him, also had a different story, which was set on an oil rig platform. This is always like an interesting one to me too, because at that time also Sage started acting more, right?
Yeah.
So
right after Rocky V.
It's like one of those, man, imagine if Sage was in that movie. Rambo and Sage.
Well, what do you make of this idea, this treatment or this premise with Rambo and an oil rig?
I buy it. I'll do it. Because Rambo, Rambo, like, there's all this thing of, like, how Rambo was the best at everything. But it would have been cool to see him do these things.
Yeah, sort of like a blue-collar sequel.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder, like, because it's on an oil rig, like, because it's one location out in the middle of an ocean, there's not so many places you can go with that character.
Yeah. They would have to do that whole establishing thing, then set him off to sea. Kind of like Gale Force, how they did that whole establishing thing with him, and how it plays into the seat later on. Which I guess we'll get to down the line, because it's in here. Yeah. Very interesting.
So, probably, if they were talking about this around, 1990, this would have came out in, 91?
Yeah, 91, 92. Which is weird, too, because, Gale Force was after it, and Gale Force didn't work, and then they tried to make a Rambo Gale Force movie. And I would have accepted that too, and this would actually made more sense, right? If they went from Rambo 3, it's weird because like the cartoon is between 2 and 3, right? But if they would have left him from like 93 and kind of like alluded to the Force of Freedom and then come back and do this Rambo 4, I would go for it because it matches up with what the Gale Force one could have been.
So I have a question, since I'm kind of taking this in too myself. Like, what if it wasn't in this order where the idea for Rambo 3 was that he was going to team with Trautman's wife to go to South America and from there to this oil rig? Is that how the sequence, how it was going to play out?
Well, it was he was going to come back to America and work on sky rises and all that.
Like after,
but then it got totally canned. They were like, okay, well, I think David Morrell said he ended up seeing it on TV that they were filming for this, for the Afghan Rambo, and then I guess he wrote it off of that. And then this was supposed to come after that.
Well, it says right here, it was in development while the third one was still in production of '87. So even so, by then they probably had, okay, Rambo 3. This is what we're going to do. This is what we have in mind. But we're thinking about doing this for the fourth movie where he goes on this oil rig, and so. Yeah.
Fuck! Imagine Sly fighting a shark.
Yeah.
There's one episode of Force of Freedom where he rides a dolphin or something like that.
What? Wow.
There's one where he goes to space.
I never seen it. I never seen Force of Freedom.
It's so good. It's so good. I want to go back and watch them all 69 episodes and do reaction videos to each and every one.
Yeah, well, that'd be a first for me because I've never seen the Force of Freedom.
Oh, we should still do that. I found them all too. I can send you them all.
But what do you? But for folks listening out there, what do you guys think about this Rambo 4 treatment, the Black Forest? I wonder if it would have worked as like a film on its own, really.
Yeah, like personally, me, if they did, First Blood, Rambo First Blood Part 2, then did the Trautman wife one, and then did Rambo of Arabia, and then did Black Forest Enviro, and then did Gale Force Rambo. Fuck it, I'm still bored.
That's a 4 or 5 hour movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like 6 films. Like I'm still like I'd still go for it because the Rambo scripts were so interesting. That's like, why wouldn't you want 15 Rambo movies?
And that's what's cool about this information that Jack has sent us. That there's a lot of in-between stuff, the Rambo films, that there's so much more, like the first 4, but there's so much in between that a lot of people don't know. That this treatment, this was considered, this idea, this premise, this treatment.
I did an 8-hour episode where I went back and I just looked for Rambo deleted scenes that were not in the movies or not in the film, not in the books, whatever. And I did a whole thing on that. And then, where was I going to go with this? It was just so crazy because there's, I think, at my last count, I think I have 46 different versions of Rambo. And that's insane. That there was 46 of these and only 5 of them, or 6 of them came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's incredible. And a lot of them are really good. Like, I want to say for their time, even better than the movies that we got.
And there's going to be some that we're going to get into later.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I forgot that there's more down this list. More different, a few of those treatments that you're referring to.
Yeah, it's just insane. It's insane.
It's the what could have been of Rambo. What could have been of the Rambo films.
Yeah.
But that, like I said, interesting information there. I mean, you could just it could work as maybe a Rambo sequel. What do you guys think about that? Maybe you could have worked on like a film of its own. But
Mm-hmm.
that's Rambo IV: The Black Forest. Now we're getting into this other treatment of Rambo IV by Scott Rosenberg. So what's the story here?
I believe this is based off the militia concept. I remember when this actually was online, when they were talking about this, and it's one for the time I really wanted to see. And then later on, I think the one we would hear about after was that tied into this was Enemy from the Past, and then damn, why am I drawing a blank? The Holy War, the Son of Rambo, the one that was supposed to be like Mission to Kashmir.
Okay.
Yeah. So it says, in 1997, Scott Rosenberg was hired to write a script for Rambo IV. At the time, Rosenberg was most well known for writing the script for Con Air. A couple of years later, he wrote the script for Gone in 60 Seconds remake in 2000, but unfortunately, the script was heavily changed by producers, filmmakers, and some others like J.J. Abrams and Jonathan Hensley. Fucking shame, because he is a damn good writer, and his original draft of Gone were miles, haha, pun intended, better than the movie. He also wrote a very fun unproduced action horror script, Bad Moon Rising, which was about a werewolf biker gang who attacked some small town, and around early 2000s, Wes Craven was going to make it into a film, and I think that Drew Barrymore was going to play one of the female members of the gang. So, Rosenberg's Rambo IV script was about Rambo infiltrating into a right-wing militia terrorist group in order to stop them from blowing up a federal building, although Stallone wasn't sure about doing another Rambo film at the time. This was after Copland. When he was considering to stop making action films, he did want to bring back Teasle into the story of the script. I don't know. Does this mean that Teasle somehow would turn out to be a main villain or not? But personally, I prefer a version where they have to put their past behind them and work together to stop the main villains. Even in the original First Blood novel, Teasle wasn't some bullying asshole like in the film. So it would have been a good way to redeem his character. I remember hearing them say that like Rambo has to infiltrate this group and Teasle somehow is involved. And they would either have to like confront each other or team up to take on the militia.
That would have been actually. I prefer option B. I like to have seen that. I wonder who would. I'm thinking. As we're going through the plot here, and I like the idea of this. Right wing militia terrorist group, and I'm like, man, who would play the lead villain there?
Yeah. I think there was a version of this where Jackie Chan was involved also.
I don't know if he would fit into that group though.
Yeah.
Um,
But I'm not sure also because they had another version of this called Enemy from the Past. And yeah, I think Jackie Chan was supposed to be involved in there. That could have been interesting because, does that mean like Jackie Chan was, one of the good guys in Vietnam, or was he one of the bad guys in Vietnam?
I'm not sure.
Or, not even a good or bad, but like, was he on the Vietnam side or was he on the American side?
Well, this sounds like more close to home, doesn't it? I mean, especially the Teasle involvement. But it's like you said, you almost kind of. It would have been cool to see Rambo and Teasle team up against this militia group. Maybe you could have had like a lead, like an intimidating type of actor to play the leader, like a Patrick Kilpatrick type, Vernon Wells type,
or even like a Jason Patrick.
Yeah,
that could have worked.
Or Powers Booth, somebody like that.
Yeah.
Just kind of thinking out loud here. It's funny how this plot, you mentioned this plot, and this is like around the time they made American History X.
Yeah.
Sort of dealing with that type of motif.
Mm-hmm. It could have been cool. It could have been like a True Lies kind of a bit like a True Lies kind of film.
What do you think this time this year though, 1997? So were they working on this to have it come out in 98 or 99? Because it's sort of, do you
I think
think
it was just kind of pitched.
pitched? Okay.
I don't really think they paid attention. Like maybe they did pay attention to it, but I don't think they really, Um, I know the next one here says Jackie Chan in there.
All right. So what's the next one here?
So the next one's Rambo 4 by Stallone, Scott Rosenberg, and possibly other writers in 2000. So in 2000, another new
Wait, which
script
one
was,
you on?
oh,
There's one before.
Ram.
There's one
Oh, there
before
is.
that. Yeah, in '98 by J.D. Zick.
Oh yeah, sorry,
Are you good?
sorry about that.
Are you fine?
Okay, so Rambo 4 by J.D. Zeik and David Morrell in 1998. 1998, in 1998, J.D. Zeik, writer of Ronin, that was a pretty good movie, 1998, was hired to write a new version of Rambo 4, and David Morrell was working with him as a consultant. His script was about Rambo fighting white supremacy group, and the leader of them is a former comrade from Vietnam and double agent who kidnaps his wife and child out of revenge. Fun fact, a couple of years earlier, there was a version of the script for Lethal Weapon 4 where Riggs and Murtaugh would have to fight against similar type of villains, neo-Nazi survival terrorists, but that version was rejected. This kind of reminds me of Dead Bang a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great movie too. Underrated flick, Dead Bang, with Don
I
Johnson.
wonder what that script looked like, actually.
What do you think? I mean, between those two that we just went over, like,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think of that as like a plot for a Rambo 4? Like, him going up against this right wing kind of neo-Nazi types back home.
Like, they're good, but they're not on the same level as where the character left off.
Yeah.
And a lot of people consider Rambo 3 to be like the worst of the original trilogy, but Rambo 3 has some big fucking shoes to fill when you're going to make a fourth one. To beat that is pretty, the stakes are higher, everything's big, 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 beautifully shot. It makes you wonder how they would have shot it, who they would have had on, running camera rigs and stuff.
And compared to other treatments that we've read, and to me, like, those other ones seem more interesting. I mean, I'm not saying that. I mean, okay, it would have been cool to see Rambo take on that type of militia, especially
Yeah.
the extreme types. But I don't know. It's sort of a weird time. Like, I don't know because you think about with Stallone, he wasn't doing too much at this time. You know how we mentioned earlier, this is sort of like a lull with Stallone.
Yeah. It makes
But I
you.
mean, but like you said, I'm sorry, it was just a pitch. But
Yeah, it also makes you wonder, like, what they would have played off of. Like Rambo 3, they played off of that Mashal character who wasn't even in the movie. And a couple of versions of Rambo 4 have that character in it. Like the Holy War one has her in it. As his wife, and they adopt Hamid, which is weird because they kind of like rebirth her character in a way. So that could have been interesting to see. Once again, Madeline Stowe, and I think even in the Holy War script, Madeline Stowe is in there.
okay.
Yeah.
But you were saying about the Jackie Chan one.
Oh, sorry.
Are you good? Because I know we were getting ready to get into that.
Yeah. Okay.
So what's this about? Because you have a little bit more knowledge in that area than, let's say, the casual. But
Well, like a lot of these, because there was a lot of Rambo 4 scripts, right? So even ones that kind of touch on today's Rambo, which is weird. Like going through a lot of these, like slide, like it's almost like he was picking and choosing parts of each script to put in the new one. But yeah, I would like to see this Morrell one, especially if Morrell was involved. Makes you wonder if they would have let him do the novelization. I guess that was maybe part of the deal, like he'd be consultant and turn around and maybe write it.
Yeah.
But the studio were assholes, and they told Morrell they didn't need him anymore. All right, so Rambo IV by Stallone, Scott Rosenberg, and possibly other writers. 2000. So in 2000, another new script was written for Rambo IV, in which Rambo would fight against drug dealers. There were plans for Jackie Chan to play the main villain, multi-millionaire drug lord, but he refused, which led to the script being rewritten and changed so that in the first half he and Rambo would be fighting against each other, and in the second half they would join up to fight the main villains. Apparently, once again, Scott Rosenberg was brought in, and he either wrote the script or just did some work on it, along with Stallone.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I don't think Jackie Chan ever wanted to play a villain, so that's kind of even there. Like, it's weird how it starts off as a villain, and then he would team up with Rambo in the second half.
Yeah, man, that's a combo I still want to see.
Yeah, that's
like that Burn Hollywood Burn, the trio.
But weren't they going to do Ex-Baghdad?
Yeah.
And nothing happened with that.
Nothing happened.
Damn it. Should have had Stallone and Jackie Chan.
Oh.
It's surprising. They're really good friends, and they've never done a film together.
They only did that Burn Hollywood Burn. That was the only one they did together. And I think they were only on screen together for like a minute, 2 minutes.
I want to see more than that. I want to see something like Tango and Cash or something.
Yeah.
Give me a buddy cop movie.
That'd be the perfect way to redeem Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Yeah.
Make a sequel and put Jackie Chan in there. Make it like a comedy. So Rambo IV, various Rambo versus terrorist scripts, 2001 to 2004. After 9/11, between 2001 and around 2004, there were many rumors and reports about Rambo IV scripts in which he would go to Afghanistan and fight the Taliban, even go to the same place he was in the third film and fight his former friends. Screenplay treatment titled Rambo Holy War, which was also how the original treatment for the third film was called, was written around this time. It was very long treatment, so keep up with the short synopsis. Yeah, that treatment, it's like 30 pages, right? But each page is like 10 pages on each page.
Wow.
It's huge. But it's really good. We should do it one time, because it's a really great. And you can get it, it's online. And they have the whole production, everything in there. With multiple versions of the synopsis and character backgrounds, too. So I think that would be a great one to do one day. Okay, so the story was about Rambo, who now works as an environmentalist for the United Nations, and his wife, and they adopt the kid from the third film. But he joins up with some terrorists, and they take over the UN building in New York and take everyone hostage. However, Rambo manages to escape, and what follows is basically Die Hard-like story with Rambo taking out terrorists while sneaking around the building. By the end of the script, it would be revealed that his son was working undercover to take down the terrorists, and the two of them would join up in a final battle at Ellis Island. Rumors were Luc Besson was in talks to direct this film at the time, probably because around then they did Taxi 3 together, right?
Let's see, Luc Besson. I don't know, what was he doing around this time? Let's see.
Taxi. That's the Professional guy, right? He did The Professional.
See, 2001. Okay, 99. Between 99 and 2005, he didn't do anything. 99, he did The Messenger, the story of Joan of Arc.
Okay. Yeah, that was pretty good, too. That was scary, that one.
97 did The Fifth Element. But for Eden, he didn't really do much there for a few years, so maybe this could have been a possibility.
Luc
Besson directing a Rambo 4, what do you think about that?
It could have worked. if they would have did it, seriously, I think it could have worked. Having some French influence in there too, because it would have been a little more gritty. I remember one scene in here where they're moving Rambo and they capture him and they're torturing him in a moving truck, and the sun breaks in, guns blazing. It's really like a son of Rambo. Rambo's good in it, but the son is the main focus. I won't say the main focus, but he's like the Rambo this time around. Sly is more like the dad, like a softer Rambo, kind of like the Homefront Rambo, which we'll get into next. But it says in 2004 there were plans for a fourth film to have Rambo looking for lost nuclear weapons and fight Al-Qaeda terrorist groups along the way, but Stallone wasn't interested, and he wanted for the story of the fourth film to somehow include Trautman's death. Robert Rodriguez was as director this time around. The plot kind of sounded like it would have been similar to John Woo's Broken Arrow or that unproduced Wesley Snipes and Jean-Claude Van Damme movie Sandblast.
Interesting. And that's different between 2001 and 2004.
I would have liked to see Rodriguez do the whole that whole Son of Rambo one, because I remember hearing about that on the radio.
Yeah, I wonder what he would have done with that, though.
Oh, Rodriguez doing it. Yeah. You know what would have been bloody?
Yeah.
It would have been bloody. I see what that noise was, because my neighbor's fire alarm was going off before. Hope we don't have a firestorm in here.
Yeah. Better call Howie Long. Or Kurt Russell.
He
might
return my calls.
Yeah.
Sly. Rambo IV Homefront 2004. In 2005, Stallone wrote a few drafts of his new Rambo IV script, which is based on the novel Homefront by Chuck Logan. We're doing a little bit of that. Sooner or later, we're probably going to do the prequel or the sequel, because there's many Chuck Logan books based on this character. And it was about Rambo and his daughter living in some town where he ends up having to fight against vengeful drug dealers. Several years later, the script was changed and turned into Homefront 2013, starring Jason Statham. And it's a very good script.
This would have been interesting to see.
Yeah, because it's really endearing. Because you can really tell that she's Rambo's kid when you read it. And it's interesting to read Rambo with a daughter. He gets called to the school and he's all like, she's like, I did what you told me to. I counted to 10. I did this. I did that. He kept on pushing. And then later, they're in the car after he, fucks up the dad of the other kid. And he's like, didn't you learn anything from this? And she looks over at him in the eye and she says, yeah, I should have hit him twice.
Man.
And it's cool because, Rambo had 3 survival knives. You don't really get a lot of Rambo until the end. And it's kind of the same ending as the other one. But he suits up. There's, a whole Rambo suit-up scene in the last act where he has 3 knives this time. And, he takes out the bad guys. And pretty interesting.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I still haven't seen Homefront with Statham, but... I mean,
it's really good.
I mean, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't have minded that for that idea for Rambo 4 or even Rambo 5. Which I didn't like Rambo 5, but maybe it was something. If you had to take it back home to do something like that, or have Teasle involved. Before Dennehy passed.
Yeah, that could be interesting too.
And now.
Oh yes, now we get to Rambo 4 Borderline. Let me just check off where I am here.
All right.
2004, 2005. Stallone came up with the story for the 4th Rambo film in which he would have to battle against a Mexican drug cartel and save some young girl from them. Dan Gordon, real war veteran who also worked on rewrites on Passenger 57, writes, his script for Rambo IV, subtitled Borderline, and also based some of it on his own life experiences. The story took place at least 20 years after the events of the third film, during which Rambo had been living in the middle of nowhere in Arizona. One day, an old Mexican woman that helps him around his cabin asked him to find her missing granddaughter. So Rambo goes to Mexico, where he battles many enemies, like sex traffickers, voodoo obsessed biker gang, corrupt cops, and others. And while searching for the kidnapped girl across Mexico and Arizona, with undercover female Mexican-American agent helping him along the way. Untimely, it's revealed how the main villain is Sheriff Wilfred Teasle himself. The first film and the final showdown between Rambo and Teasle and his entire police force takes place at Teasle's mansion, which is right on the borderline. This version did go into pre-production before it was decided to go with the Burmese storyline. This is one I've always wanted to see. You know,
so you would have had
from hearing. I've heard many rumors on this, and this could have been magical. Like from what I understood from everything I've heard about this, that Rambo was almost a supernatural kind of figure. Kind of harks back to how like every Rambo movie that's been made has an underlined supernatural element to it that is taken out of the film before the film was released. Every single freaking one, except for maybe Rambo II, where they talk about the Nagamani. Actually, no, in Rambo II it's called something else. In Rambo IV it's called Nagamani, but they don't show it in the movie. But in Rambo II, the charm that Ko has, there's a word for it. Fuck, I can't remember what the word is. But all the legend behind that kind of thing. And then they bring it up again in Rambo IV. There was a deleted scene where Sarah and Rambo were on the boat. And she's got the cross, you know, because she gives him that cross.
Yeah.
But she gives him the cross because she looks over and he's wearing this necklace. And she's like, what's that? And he says, oh, it's the pearl of the cobra. He says, this is supposed to make sure your land is, you know, you've never experienced famine. You're always going to be a successful warrior. You're going to have victory over your enemies every time. They're very majestic. He says that if the snake has to give it to you, if you kill the snake, it has no power. And there's like a moment there where it goes back to the boat scene from Rambo 2, and I'm like, oh my god, that little nod to Ko, you know, I wish they would have done it. And then at the end of the film, when she's leaving, he gives it to her, and there's kind of like a scene like how he had with the kid in Rambo 3.
Yeah.
Where he gives it to him to make sure the journey is successful, you know, out of there. So yeah, this one could have been cool because from what I remember hearing, Rambo is more of like a supernatural. I don't want to say a supernatural legend, but like there's more a force behind him. You know, it's more haunting. I don't like First Blood. They talk about it a bit where they say like. I even asked David about it, and he said, yeah, that there was like kind of an element of, I won't say astral projection, but kind of an element between Rambo and Teasle in the book like that. That happens when Rambo's in the junkyard. And in Rambo 3, a lot of it is more of the supernatural aspects behind God. And with 5, apparently it was supposed to be premonition, future premonition. You know, because there was leaked synopsises on or rundowns on the Schwarzenegger site where they showed that like Rambo would have premonitions of people attacking him on his property, and that's one of the reasons why he built the underground, the cave system, because he was starting to trip out. He had to start taking medication because he was tripping out and seeing people come on his land to kill him every night.
Well, since you mentioned that, and you're on that note, I'm reading some of this plot here. Doesn't it sound familiar? Like maybe Stallone took a little bit from this and put in Rambo 5.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, there's a lot,
Especially
there's a lot. Like, I remember hearing it dealing with his Native American side too. And I know, like, they touch upon that a little bit with the ending of Rambo 5, and the night before the movie came out, Sly even fucking gave it away. Gave it away that Rambo lived and was on an Indian reservation. So it would make sense. This could have been a perfect. This could have been a perfect, way to go for that time.
And you would
have.
have
And I like the future aspect of it too. It's very cool.
And you would have had a final showdown with Teasle.
Yeah.
So if you between what we've read so far with these treatments, do you think this was the closest that was going to happen for Rambo 4 before the Burma plot?
Yeah, I would say this one. I guess Sly was on the borderline with this one.
No pun, all pun intended. Yeah.
This is the one that got away.
Yeah.
It's the one that got away. Trying to think of any other of those kind of things that happen. But you'll see them. You'll notice them. If you start reading some of these, you'll notice them. They're in there. These little supernatural things.
And that's in the script?
In the books, in the original book, in the scripts. But Sly likes to write about that kind of stuff, he likes to write a lot of that methodical. Like Rocky, a lot of that's really methodical too, mythological. Damn, it's just really, 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 really an interesting concept. And since I've been learning more about Native American lore, because I'm Native American, so learning more about that and how Vietnam, they were doing experiments with them based on their tracking skills and their hair, how it was there was theories that they had some kind of antenna like hair, that the longer your hair was, and it was kind of like an antenna. I guess they make a lot of comparisons to that with Einstein and George Soulos, and a lot of these guys with crazy hair,
Yeah.
And Rambo had that long hair, he had that. It was, I guess, one part of his native roots that I really didn't like that they took that away. I really hated that they took that away in the last one. Okay, you know what? You're not going to do the headband? Fine.
Maybe it was age.
Yeah, but at least keep his hair, It would have make more sense to keep his hair for tracking all those missing people. And it's weird because we're going to get to Savage Hunt, right? And same thing in there. Hunter. When you read the book, it's kind of comes, when you first see him, he kind of comes across as that shot of Rambo 2 when he gets out of the helicopter.
Yeah.
With that tie-dye shirt on and all that stuff. So.
And now we're getting to another little piece here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's Rambo Borderline, real quick. It would have been cool to see that. I mean, it would have been cool to see sort of that go full circle with Teasle, and then you have a final showdown at Teasle's mansion, and you're on the border. This sounds like it would have been an intense sequel.
I would like to see them kind of work that angle into a Rambo 6. Kind of rework those angles in, maybe this time go with the biker gang. Maybe he has to help the Indians.
Before Denny's passing. Yeah.
Yeah. It would have been really cool if they would have went that route with Rambo 5, considering right after Denny he died, so it could have been really, 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 really sweet. But But then again, I don't want to see Rambo kill Teasle. If Rambo kills Teasle, then even if Teasle's coming after him, even if Teasle does some evil shit to him, if Rambo kills Teasle, it goes against everything Rambo stood for at the end of that film.
That's why I kind of think, like, if I had to choose between would I rather see them team up or have Teasle get his comeuppance, if you will, I'd rather see them team up. But,
Yeah.
Or reconcile, do whatever like that, make up for. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to, think about.
Because I don't think he wanted to kill him. Like, he's holding that gun and he's hesitating. When does Rambo ever hesitate? He never hesitates. Like, he was just, more than one time, I think he was just trying to nail it home. Like, you know what? I beat you. Like, out of all the odds, I'm still showing you that you can't win. Rambo could have easily got out of that situation.
Yeah.
So, I guess him realizing everything at the end of the film, like, ended up doing his 10 years or whatever. It's, I don't know. If he would have killed him in this movie, it kind of goes against what we love about Rambo.
Exactly.
That would have been a bigger slap in the face than Expendables 3. Oh, all right. Rambo IV unconfirmed rejected version of 2006. While there were rumors of how there was one more different story for Rambo IV, which would have been about Rambo saving a U.S. president from Camp David, but I don't know. Was this one just one of the ideas they had right before they chose the Burma story, or was there really a script that was written based on it? Other than a couple of mentions of this in some articles, there is nothing else about this version.
Interesting.
Yeah. All right.
And now?
Now we got a good one.
Rambo V, Savage Hunt.
Yeah. Savage Hunt. Now, it's going to be very easy for me to trail off and go on this one for about 2 hours. So I'm going to stick to what's written here. Because this one is, I got a million things to say about this. But Rambo V Savage Hunt 2009. Soon after making the fourth film around 2009-2010, the rejected story for the fourth film about the cartel and kidnapping was once again in development for the fifth film, but then was canceled again and replaced with a new story, which was based on the novel Hunter by James Byron Huggins. In this version, a shout out to James, really wonderful guy. In this version, titled Rambo V Savage Hunt, Rambo would have had to lead a special forces team through the Arctic Circle and track down mysterious monstrous creature. Other reports about the film mention how they would actually be tracking escaped super soldiers, but that was probably just a mistake someone made. This version was canceled, and for a short time, the cartel story was brought back. Before, of course, it was canceled once again. So here's the plot synopsis for Savage Hunt version of Rambo V. John Rambo could track anyone. Oh, this is the original one from the Ain't It Cool News, or Arrow in the Head, or the Harry Knowles one. John Rambo could track anyone or anything on Earth. Now the military desperately needs him for a mission that his ultra-sensitive instincts tell him he should refuse. A beast is loose somewhere in the north of the Arctic Circle. It has already decimated a secret research facility and annihilated a squad of elite military guards. And the raging creature is headed south towards towards civilization. Ready to wreak bloody devastation. It's a job that Rambo and his 22-year-old hunting partner, Bo Brady, can't turn down. But they and a team of highly skilled special forces kill team discover that the prey is beyond their wildest fears. A half-human abomination created by a renegade agency through a series of outlawed genetic experiments. It has man's cunning, a predator's savageness, and a prehistoric power that has transcended the ages. And even if Rambo and Bo survive its unrelenting hunger for human blood, they'll still have to confront the grim reality that it might have grown immortal.
Now, this is something that I would have loved to have seen.
Yeah, go read the book. Everybody go read the book right now. And when you're finished reading that book, get ready for the sequel, because it's coming.
But I love the sci-fi take on, this idea. Like, this if you're going to do Rambo 5, which I've said, Rambo 4 ended it perfectly, but if you're going to do a fifth one, this is what I wanted to see.
Yeah. And it's weird because if you read the book, right, like, it's not that far of a stretch. Like, it comes across as Rambo without it being Rambo. So you change, like, maybe one or two things in there, and the rest of the book is, you could film it like the movie. You could film it shot for shot, like a Rambo movie. It's very cool because there's a lot of throwbacks, And I know Sly worked on this with James at one point, so on the right for it, or at least that's what he told me. So you can definitely tell, it was written especially for Sly, and you can definitely tell, it wasn't that big of a stretch to get it to Rambo. I guess the only reason why they maybe said no is because they didn't want to do that sci-fi angle. But once again, there's another piece of one of those supernatural elements that Rambo always has around the movie before the movie comes out.
But I would have loved to have seen this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would have been kind of reminds me of the beast itself. I don't know how it would look. I mean, you probably have more detail on that, but I kind of imagine like a dog soldier, like that type of werewolf looking type.
I can see Mickey Rourke in this very, very, very easily. I know at one time they were talking about Mickey Rourke. This whole homo scimitar thing. And this really dark essence of the earth, which you can see when you go, if you go on if you go on Harry Knowles' site. Sly has a message on there, like an answering machine message, where you can hear him talk about this lost earthly force that they have to come up across. I don't know about this Bo Brady guy.
The character?
Yeah.
This younger character?
Yeah. It kind of just feels like he's just there for Rambo to have a connection to and watch die.
Kind of like a Liam Hemsworth experience too. Yeah. Doesn't need to be there. Oh, the beast will eat him. Yeah.
Get like Gary Coleman to play him.
Bo Brady.
We're just talking about Preacher.
I don't know why I keep thinking a name just popped in my mind. Like if you had to get, which I know the character's 22 years old, but maybe you can change that. You can, maybe if you have something like a Barry Pepper or somebody like that. It doesn't have to be a 22-year-old, so you could change. You can play with that, but maybe somebody younger than Sly that can can probably bounce off Sly well. Yeah,
I know. Like, we're supposed to get this one next year, right? So hopefully they. I wouldn't mind for them to put off like the big budget Demolition Man to do this and make it small out in the Arctic somewhere where maybe they wouldn't have to really worry about the virus too much. Somewhere secluded where there's not a lot of people to infect everybody or whatever. Like, this would probably be a great. But what's interesting about this too? Like last time we were talking about that intro to Rambo V there, the monsoon scene.
Yeah.
If you watch a lot of those behind the scenes, that was in one room. That was all put together in one room.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, kind of like how they did Legend. None of that was outside.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was a soundstage. So it was really done well, you know. They did a lot of cliffhanger like that also. So this could have been interesting.
Definitely.
I think like when you watch the cliffhanger, the making of Cliffhanger, Stallone on the Edge, you can actually see that set. You can see him being interviewed from that set to make it look like it was outside. So.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I love the idea of the Savage Hunt.
Yeah.
Should have happened.
It's one of those ones like we could do a 3-hour episode on that easily, just talking about that. All right, Rambo V: The Last Stand, 2010 to 2012. This one's interesting too, because it kind of feels a little bit like a mixture of Gale Force and Van Damme's Nowhere to Run, and a little bit of Homefront thrown in there, and maybe not, the prehistoric element of Hunter, but like a Rambo equal, like an evil version of Rambo.
Okay, I've never heard of this one. Then I think
there's a scene where he's fighting this alternate Rambo, and they fight through the whole fucking.
You mean like someone has met his match?
Yeah, and Rambo just can't seem to get that upper hand, And there's a guy called the Fat Man in here, which is kind of like James Franco's character from Homefront. So between 2011 and 2014, Sean Hood was working on a new version of Rambo V titled Last Stand, working from Sly's unproduced Rambo IV Homefront script, original novel by Chuck Logan, and after the 20-page story Stallone gave him to help him write the script. Hood developed a treatment and then wrote a script in which Rambo leaves his home and arrives in some other small town where he helps a woman and her daughter. Yeah, he meets a daughter and then goes and helps them. Kind of like Nowhere to Run. He's on a motorcycle all the time. But then gets into trouble with a local gang of meth dealers and a mercenary who is working with them, who is like an evil version of himself. This version was probably canceled very soon because Homefront was made around 2012, but IMO Last Stand sounds like it would have been much better, Rambo film or not.
Even by itself, it sounds cool, like not Arnold's The Last Stand, but that's a great movie too, but...
Yeah.
But
that one gets better with age.
But it's like you said, it sounds like Nowhere to Run, a little bit of Nowhere to Run, and, if Rambo would have had a villain that kind of met his match...
Yeah.
It's sort of like him, as far as like savagery, or is that the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, kind of like a more savage, or more like a more brutal.
And being on meth.
Yeah. He's all methed out.
Kind of like
he's not stopping. He's going all 15 rounds, but
like a guy that is like a Tony Montana, but is like equal on as far as how can he put it? Just as much as of a beast as Rambo.
Yeah, like a younger, more beefed up,
methed up, drugged up.
I'm trying to remember how he kills them. I can't remember though. It's been so long. It's been at least 2 years since I read this, or a year and a half at least.
There you go. I don't know. I was trying to think of a villain, like who could play that, who could equal Rambo and be all methed up and drugged up and kind of like crazy out there.
Diesel.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. But the thing about Vin Diesel is when he came out, remember, he was all like that mysteriously, savage guy, whatever, But after you watch him in every movie you see, he has a heart, and then it's hard to be scared of him. Like the last Riddick movie, you're supposed to be kind of scared of that character, but you just can't because, he has a heart now, right?
Yeah.
So it'd be hard to imagine Vin Diesel in there. Like, could you really take Vin Diesel seriously as being evil? kind of like Yushin from Rambo 2. You know, he is so menacing in that movie. Probably one of the most menacing characters Sly's ever had to go up against. But then he's in like some really childish Van Damme movie where he's like a total joke after. It's hard to see him as a threatening force or a threatening force after that.
Yeah.
But it could have been interesting. I just don't think it would have worked because it was too close to Homefront.
Yeah.
Because I know, I know Sean Hood released this treatment afterward. He released it on his website. So if you go on his website, you can read the whole thing. So it's just one of those, like, reading it like a year and a half ago, it doesn't work because Homefront's already out, right? So it doesn't. But it just kind of felt like a Nowhere to Run kind of Rambo movie.
Yeah, it does sound like that. Which I like Nowhere to Run.
Yeah, I enjoy it also.
So.
I am from Quebec.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
But that's all like the Rambo material that we have, right?
I think so. I'm pretty sure. Let me do a page count. Alright, hold on. Bodyguard, Soldier, Rambo 3, Rambo 4, 50-50, Executioner, Bartholomew, Guild Force, Dead Reckoning.
We're just going over the notes.
For them. No Safe Haven, High Roller, Firestorm, Rambo 4, Rambo 4, Fatalis, Rambo 4, Rambo 4, Rambo 4, Rambo 4, Rambo 4, Rambo 5, Rambo 5, yep. I know we have more Rambos from Jack. I just don't know where I put them. Like, I don't know where they are. But I know we're going to get to them. Like the Kevin Jarre and I want to say that Esther Haas was. I'm probably getting the name wrong now. That the rumors of the long version of Rambo 2, like 200 pages or whatever, or 500 pages or something, and I think there's a couple in between. Rambo 2 and Rambo 3. I gotta pull those up, and we could do. If we do those, then we've done almost every Rambo script.
Well, we definitely, a lot of these treatments from Rambo IV, I mean, I've heard of a few, but I never went into them like we have. Like we've, maybe more on your end, that you've went more into them, like more in depth, but, this is sort of like me kind of taking it in and breaking it down, sort of my first time, I guess. It's like I've heard of these different titles. It was nice to, see what they were about.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's around 46.
Good God.
Somewhere in there, 46. But yeah, all of them. Like I said last time, if they would have James Bond it, I would watch all of them.
But
I'd watch all 46 fucking Rambo. Imagine Stallone did 46 Rambo movies.
Oh gosh.
Woo, I'd watch them.
Well, you can forget about a lot of stuff he did in the 90s. But this is cool. And yeah, like I said, this is what we've covered a great chunk here of the treatments and a couple of Rambo 5 treatments. And so this is we're going to stop on this, since we're at the finish line here with those, and we're going to do some other ones, different ones, but
yeah, we have 2 left.
But I hope you enjoyed this portion, this installment. Yeah. And we'll see you for the next one.